Hi friends, it's Marika Lake and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to show you inside our homeschool space. Now, this is our 7th year homeschooling here in the Lake House Homeschool, and I always like to start off the school year with refreshing our homeschool space and doing a little video to show you what it's going to look like for the school year. Now, as I said, we have been homeschooling. This is our 7th year, and over the years, I have definitely become more of a minimalist, which is super funny because at the beginning, I was actually homeschooling only 2 of my children, and the other 2 were too little to start school yet. So you would think over the years that I would actually, with adding more children to homeschooling, that my space would be bigger and full of more things, but it's actually gone the opposite way. I am much more of a minimalist these days. We live in a tiny home, and our homeschool space is not actually its own dedicated room in the house. It's actually a part of our main living space. So I need to keep things controlled, not overflowing, not too schooly, because it's right in the middle of our lounge room. So over the years, it's definitely become much more minimalistic. So let's have a look at our homeschooling space for 2025. This is our main living room in our home, and you can see we have our sitting area down this end, and then down this end we have our, what I guess we would call our homeschool space, and also kind of our dining room as well. Let's start with the lounge room. So we have this cozy lounge room set up here, and to be honest with you, this is actually where we do most of our homeschool work. We will cuddle up on the couches together. We'll also use our coffee table to lean on to do some writing, and of course we use our TV a lot for watching YouTube and even listening to music and educational videos and things like that. And then to the side here, this is actually my toddler's play space. We don't have a playroom in our home, and to be honest, he just wants to be wherever we are. So I set up this little shelf here. I used to have this shelf in my homeschool space down by the table, and it would have puzzles and magnetiles and books on there for homeschool, but we don't need that for homeschool anymore. So I've set it up for my toddler. So usually all of these toys are actually strewn all over my lounge room floor, but he has a place to play. He would take these toys down and play with them on the table, or join us on the couches and at the little coffee table there. So I have this set up for my toddler so that he can play while we are doing schoolwork. And then just here we have our open bookshelves. Now along the bottom is where I house all of the books that my children can access. So this is not curriculum or anything like that. These are just fiction and non-fiction books that I pop along these shelves here so that they're out. My children can see them at any time and can grab them and read them. And then we just have my hubby and my books along here. And then also we have some books here, which are for the kids as well. They're kind of novels are all sitting there. So that is where we keep all of the books in our home, is on these open bookshelves in our lounge room. Now we come down to the area that I affectionately call our homeschool space. We actually have this table here, which is actually our dining room table as well. We do have a smaller table that used to be here, but I switched that out into my kitchen and I put our longer table here. Now, I don't have anything on my table, no beautiful display. Sometimes I used to have my homeschool caddy on there with pencils and things like that. But I have a climber. My toddler is a climber, and he gets up on this table all the time and get whatever is on there. So I try to keep it just free of anything so that he won't climb. So that's why it kind of just looks like a blank table, but we have the table here and we can sit around this to do our homeschool work. If we're working on art projects, we definitely sit here, and I put down a tablecloth so they won't ruin the table. We eat dinner here as a family, or if we have friends over, we use both of the tables for eating. So this is like a really multi-purpose area. It's not just for homeschool, it's for our everyday living as well. So I try to make it just kind of look like the rest of our house and not too homeschooly, if that makes sense. So we have our table, and then along the back wall here, I just have these cube bookshelves, which if you've seen any of my other homeschool videos, these shelves have been here the entire 6 years that we have been homeschooling, and these hold an assortment of things. On the top row, I do just have the cupboard inserts, and I'll just show you inside. I have got lots of our old curriculum that we've used stored in there, and I've just popped them into these like magazine boxes, and these are just like chalkboard stickers, and I've used like a chalk pen to write on them, and they just house anything that I'm not ready to pass on yet. So I've just got a whole lot of books and things stored in these cupboards, which is super handy. So in all of the cupboards, I just, as I said, have curriculum that I'm no longer using. Might be the curriculum that my children used last year, and I'm holding on to it for a year. There are some storybooks in there, and yeah, just random things like that. And then in the baskets, it's the same kind of thing. I've got art supplies and, extra pencils. I have got games, like board games and things, kind of all stored in there. And this is kind of like, if it doesn't fit, if my homeschool things don't fit in here, then I really need to start purging. I have a really small home, and so I try and make sure that I stay within the boundaries of my homeschool shelves. So I don't have any homeschool supplies, tucked around the house anywhere else. They are all located, everything that I have for homeschool is actually located in here. Now, these cupboards aren't very toddler proof. I don't have any child locks on them, so my little boy can get into them. So at the moment, I have popped my art supplies. Instead of in the cupboard, I've put them on top of the shelf here because he can't quite reach these yet. So I do just have a basket here that has got all of the paint supplies that we use. We do a lot of watercolor, so we just have a lot of watercolor supplies, and our brushes and our paints. I just have a little box sitting here because, again, my toddler will just take these little reader books out and put them everywhere. So they are sitting there. And I do have a basket down here, which is outside of the system, but purely because these things are too big to fit into my cupboards. So I've just popped a basket down here. I've got some large chalkboards that we use to write signs on for their birthdays and, first day of school and things like that. And then I have these big, what are they? Art paper. They are too big to fit in the cupboard, and that's more art paper. So I just pop them in the box there, so that they're easily accessible. My toddler actually hasn't taken anything out of that box yet. Obviously not interesting enough for him. So that has been fine sitting there. And on top of my shelves, I just have these bamboo drawers as well. And these have more of art supplies in. These are generally the art supplies that I don't want the children kind of grabbing on their own. So there's special sketching pencils, soft pastels, my watercolor kit and things like that. So the children can use them, but they're just a little bit more special than the other things that I have in the basket. So I just stored them away in those bamboo drawers and pop them up on top of my shelves. And I just have my plants on here and my vintage well glow, but I like to try and keep it as free as I can, because if there is anything that my baby keeps getting into, I usually just pop it up on top of that shelf to get out of the way so that he can't grab it. So that is where all of my homeschool supplies are located, except for my books, which I showed you, which are on the shelf. Now, tucked in the corner here is my homeschool trolley. It's actually not organised for the new year. It has still got last year's curriculum sitting on there. That is the next thing I need to do. But I'll just quickly show you. I like to keep all of the things that I use on the daily for homeschool on this trolley, because most of the time, as I said, we're actually homeschooling on the couch. So this trolley can be wheeled out and placed against the table if we're working here, or it can be wheeled out and over to the sitting area, so we have all of our things at hand when we're over there. So on the top, each of my children just have one of these magazine holders, and in there they have all of the books that they're using. So they'll have their history notebook, they'll have their language and literacy that they're working on and things like that. So they've all got their own folder. And then on the next shelf, I just have this basket, and in the basket houses all of the stationery that we use on the daily. They each have a pencil case each with scissors and glue and eraser and lead pencil, and then we have colouring in supplies in there as well. I used to have them in this gorgeous caddy and they were all organised, but again, toddler. So I needed to pop them into closed containers and put them in there so that my toddler can't get to them. And we just have these cute little pencil cases that my mum made for my kids years ago. We just use what we got. And then on the bottom shelf, we just have their art binders, those white binders there. When my children do artwork, we display them on the fridge and then take them down and pop them in there. We've got our Bibles and a stack of books that we plan on reading this next homeschool year. So that is our homeschool trolley. So there you have it. That is a tour of our homeschool space. As I said, it's not a dedicated room in our house. It is literally in our dining room, which is in our lounge room, which is the main room of our house. If you are interested in a house tour, I actually have done a house tour of our house before. We are in mid-renovation. I feel like we are always in mid-renovation. We bought this house years ago when we only had 2 children and it was so tiny, and we are still in the middle of renovating it and making it big and beautiful. So if you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link in the description box down below and you can go check that out. But there you have it. There is our beautiful minimalistic homeschool space that we are going to be working in for the 2025 school year. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I hope you found this helpful. I guess what my aim really is here is to show you that you don't have to have all of the things to homeschool. You don't need a big fancy room to have a homeschool space in, or even a toy room. You can homeschool in small space with very little things. Just a big imagination is all you really need. And so yeah, that's why I guess I'm doing my videos, and just to show you a more minimalistic way of doing homeschool, especially in the climate these days where influencers just want to influence you to buy new things and have all the newest gadgets and things like that. Well, I'm here, I guess, to kind of de-influence you, to say, no, you don't need all of the things. As you can see in my homeschool space, I don't have all of these like manipulatives or educational gadgets, toys, and all of those kind of things, because my children simply don't use them. And so there's no point having them on hand. They've kind of grown out of puzzles or using manipulatives for maths and things like that. So we don't have any of those things. Our maths program, I mean, we might just have a little thing of counters, and we have a clock, a physical clock that they use. But other than that, we don't need all of the things because they do their maths online. And so, yeah, we just have books, lots of books, good quality books. We have lots of board games now, not necessarily educational board games, but just board games that the whole family play. We have a small selection of art supplies, and they are all that we need to use in our homeschool and in our life. So all that to say, I hope you've enjoyed a look at my minimalistic homeschool space. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. I'll have more videos coming out as we get into the school year about the curriculum that we're using and things like that. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.